I think our history really helps to reach beyond just the Civic Garden Center. The fact that we are one of the oldest community gardening programs in the nation. We were one of the very first to get started, and we believe that we're the longest continuously running program in the United States.
We've been doing it for 32 years, I think, 33 maybe. And so we were certainly one of the first community gardening programs, and I think a lot of people have looked to us as a model for that.
In terms of the community garden movement, we kind of paved the way and continue to be a resource for new community garden organizations that are coming up.
A lot of the times there's so much focus on the community gardening, but the organization's still really important in helping the home gardener with just issues. You know, they call in all the time. We have the horticulture helpline because that was the original mission.
Came for the interview and fell in love with the place. Just the attitude of the people who worked here, the warmth. There's something really magical about this space.
The gardens here are really special because they were a labor of love for Cornelius Houck, who he called himself an amateur plantsman, bought the property in 1924, and over the succeeding decades he really worked it and brought in odd specimens and really interesting plants. A lot of them still exist today. A lot of them have become very old and are horticultural attention getters. People come here to see specific plants that are rare in the region. And just like any garden, it's evolving. We're losing specimens, but we're adding and constantly changing.
With the community gardens, there's very deep relationships are built between the individuals and the neighborhoods, but also the place and the soil, the fruit trees, the vegetable gardens. And what I think is really so fascinating about it is the different levels that it engages different people and the broad spectrum of people, you know, in terms of ethnicity, economic background, and also age. I mean, it's the cradle to the grave. You know, someone may start off gardening as a mother, and then, you know, at the end, 20 years later, they're bringing their grandchildren to the garden.
It's really unique that something like that came out of Cincinnati, but we are the oldest program, and then we have great, successful gardens.
We not only pull the community together, but great things happen, like crime going down in the area.
Our community gardens program is estimated to generate over 14,000 pounds of produce a year. Some of it's just for their family, some of it goes home with neighbors or friends, some goes to food pantries, and some of the food goes directly to homebound seniors.
Let's see, we have 56 gardens, I think, is the number that we're at right now. And we have approximately 1,500 gardeners. And if you count the family members that come with them, it's probably well over 2,000 gardeners. And we say that about 1,500 pounds of food every year go to food banks, but I think it must be a lot higher than that.
And in a consumer society where people are so much geared toward just buying product and eating it, or cooking it in a microwave, I see the gardens as a kind of a revolution of everyday life. It's going back, and people are going back to the source, planting a seed, growing a plant, harvesting the vegetable, cooking the vegetable, eating it with their family, sharing it with their neighbors.
And and we see about 20 to 30 field trips a school year. So students come and learn all about stormwater and how to grow their own food and how to compost.
So as the school garden coordinator, I'm out at schools frequently, and basically our goal is to be building gardens at schools, to make gardens where the kids are on a daily basis so that they can access those and have hands-on garden-based learning experiences whenever the teacher is able to get them outside. Some teachers, if that can get them out every day, others maybe once a week, but having it right there is really important. It's not just these one time and then they're gone. It's they're coming back, they're building a relationship with that garden over time.
We have 4 children's gardens that are open garden hours, so kids in the neighborhood come and they cook and take produce home. There are a couple hundred kids that come to those gardens. We get between 15 and 30 in those gardens every week. A lot of the kids have been coming for up to 8 years.
As people are moving back to the city, they're gardening on their rooftops and their balconies, their front steps. And so we're trying to provide them with the resources to do that efficiently. Just like back in 1942 when the Civic Garden Center was started, those early founders were teaching people how to grow victory gardens on their early lots. So we see this as really a return to our roots.
As the weather is changing, so too is the collection here. It's just kind of an evolving thing, and as well as evolving to match the environmental movements, working with a lot more native plants, a lot more pollinator-friendly plants, and then also working in more edibles that would not have been considered as important maybe 50 years ago. It has really become more diverse.
The Green Learning Station is a learning laboratory for stormwater management best practices. So we are testing out different types of pervious pavements, different green roof systems, different types of rainwater harvesting systems, and as much as possible we're trying to collect data on how those systems are performing.
Most people don't know much about gardening or about maybe even making good choices for their families, or maybe have those resources. But once they have that learning, it so quickly takes off, and it's such a positive thing.
Bottom line is it brings in between $4 and $5 billion into the area, and it creates about 5,000 additional jobs if everybody just spent 10% of their food budget. Not additional money, but just 10% of their food budget being spent on locally sourced food. Just let people know that small actions can really add up to big things.